Now, we do want to stay on this story. Charles Ramsey is a former Washington, D.C. police chief and former Philadelphia police commissioner. Again, a somber Thanksgiving, given these two young people, and I do want to keep the focus on them. I mean, they are fighting for their lives right now, so young, and in service to their country, were ambushed, as was the description by officials. My thoughts, though, do turn to you, and given your experience in Washington, D.C., what do you think of the Trump administration's reaction in terms of both trying to keep civilians and law enforcement safe? I mean, do you believe the 500 extra men and women are going to make a difference here?
No, 500 will not make a difference. In fact, the 2,000 that are here now or in D.C. now really aren't there to really fight crime. I mean, they're there to secure and to be around like Union Station, certain federal monuments, and so forth. But they're not trained as law enforcement officers. It's a different type of training that they go through. I mean, they're soldiers. They train for war. Now, there are some police officers that are members of the National Guard as well. They would have had the training, but the majority of people in the Guard do not have the kind of training they need to be effective on the street. Now, having said that, what happened to those two guardsmen yesterday, they were just caught totally off guard. I mean, I've seen the video. And this individual just walked right up on them, turned the corner, and started shooting before they had a chance to have any kind of reaction at all. That could have happened to anybody, whether you're a police officer, National Guard, or whatever. He was just bent on trying to assassinate a couple members of the National Guard.
Yeah, and they clearly were a target in this case, and I want to get to the issues around that. You know, in terms of trying to prevent this, this requires intelligence. It's key. But from everything CNN is learning, let's be clear, this Afghan suspect would have been one of the most thoroughly vetted foreigners in the United States.
Right.
So what does that tell you about prevention here, intelligence? And I do want to bring in something controversial that's been said on the air in CNN by other analysts, and that by bringing in law enforcement in this politicized environment in a place like D.C., that they're just creating more targets. Even that comment is chilling.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I agree with that. I think that, the way in which the Guard is being used, which is basically for politics, for political purposes, you've made them into targets. Now, this individual drove all the way from Washington State to the District of Columbia. If he just wanted to kill a member of the military, there are a lot of bases in between Washington State and the District of Columbia where he could have stopped and actually done that. But he chose to go all the way to D.C. Why? Because D.C. has been, focused on here in the U.S. And it is our nation's capital. So, that individual intently came here. Now we're still getting a lot of information, background, and interviewing people that know the man and going through, his digital history and all that sort of thing. But clearly, he wanted to make a statement here in Washington, D.C. But the fact that you have all these guardsmen in the city, and I was in D.C. just last week, and they're walking like, in groups of four and so forth. I mean, they just aren't trained to do the kind of work that you do in policing. And policing can be dangerous. I mean, right in Washington, D.C., we have a memorial with more than 24,000 names of police officers inscribed on a wall that were killed in the line of duty. There is risk inherent. And in order to minimize that risk, you need the appropriate training.
I don't have a lot of time left, but one thing that really caught my eye, Chief, was the fact that there are no charges here yet involving terrorism. Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, and the president have described this as an act of terror. What more evidence are they looking for if they're going to charge the suspect with that?
Well, I mean, the FBI is still in the process now of going through everything that they have found out about this individual, whether or not the act was the result of some, foreign government or some influence by some foreign government, not just a lone wolf on his own who decided to do this. That would not fall under the definition of terrorism here in the United States. And we really don't have a statute on domestic terrorism. So it's going to depend on what evidence they can come up with. Now, there's real good evidence on this guy. We got it on video. I watched the video myself. I think it's a very, very solid case. But as far as charging goes, there's certain information that they need to be able to get in order to be able to substantiate the charges that have been placed against them.
Yeah, and again, you've added a level of complexity to this that we're beginning to understand, which means this investigation will go on for some time. Charles Ramsey, happy
Yeah,
Thanksgiving to you. I know you're thinking of every law enforcement member right now, not on holiday with the family,
I am.
but working to keep everyone safe. Thanks so much.